day everyone, I am Sardelia Twinkle and I am Group 5 reporter. So my topic is under the critical perspective and there are 9 or 10 theories under the critical perspective. So first, my topic is all about conflict theory. So when we say conflict theory, it is a war, fighting or a battle because of there's a possibility nga magkagubot mo because of the disagreement. So conflict theory is originated by Karl Marx 18th. So conflict theory is a sociological framework that views society as being in a state of perpetual conflict due to competition over limited resources. So there are, based on my research, there are 3 under the conflict theory or kanang connected siya sa conflict theory. First is wealth. When we say wealth is a kayamanan. You have a lot of money, you have a lot of houses, cars, or clothing, and so on, and you have a higher good possession. So, wealth is an abundance of valuable possession or money. So, let's say for example, ako ang amiga nag-apply og trabaho. Manawig process tanan sa mga requirements. Manasabi og pasa dungan gud ming duhan. After that happened, siya ra ang gi-hire because siya ra ang gi-hire and then ako wala. Siya nagali ang naay daghang kwarta. Kana bitong something siya na ang naay kaya pero siya pa ang gi-hire. So there's a possibility nga magkagubot mong duha or mag-conflict mong duha. Daghan kay nanginahanglan og trabaho, like kanang pobre nanginahanglan og trabaho pero ang gihatagan og chance nga magka-trabaho is katong na ay kaya na or naanay ikapalit sa ilahang mga needs. So there's a possibility nga magka-conflict or magka-gubot. So the second one is power. So when we say power, it is a common na kayong power. It is a ability to influence or control others or the ability to do something or act in particular way. So let's say for example, the president, he has a power to control everything, or he has the ability to do something or act in particular way. So the third one or the last one is the status. So when we say status, it is your possession. Status is a social concept that refers to a person's or group's position or standing within a society or social group. So when we say status is or your positions, let's like for example, say person A gusto niya ma-promote karong December 25 and then si person B gusto sab kaayo siya ma-promote as a new CEO of their company. So naay competition nga mahitabo. So gi-contest sila, padaghanay sila customer, pa dagkuay sila or pa dakuay og halin, and then maabot na dayon ang time nga magka-gubot or there's a conflict happen in this scenario. So this is my report, conflict theory, and that's all.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. So I am Jobert B. Maghiay, and I'm reporting about the instrumental Marxism in continuation in the conflict theory. So instrumental Marxism is a perspective of conflict theory wherein the legal system and the law used by the ruling system to control the working class, or let's say that the capitalists or the some privileged person use law or manipulate law to protect their interests and control the less privileged people. So the key elements of the instrumental Marxism is: number 1, we have the state as an instrument; number 2, direct control; number 3, repression of working class; and number 4 is ideological function. So let's start explaining what is the meaning of the instrument and the state as an instrument. So the state and the institutions, including the legal system, are seen as tools wielded by the ruling class to protect their property, suppress dissent, and maintain the existing social order. So, therefore, makaingon jud ta nga, ug walay state, wala ang ruling class nga mag-rule sa tua to control the less privileged people. So, uh, kung walay state, wala man naman diha ang mga legal policy nga naa sa state. So, therefore, the ruling class should be in the should use the state as an instrument to protect their interests or their own interests beside na ay matapakan or something yun ano. So number two, direct control. The ruling class directly influences the creation of enforcement of laws to be benefit their economic and political interests. This might involve lobbying, campaign contributions, or direct campaign or direct appointments to positions of power. So, like for example, the president should appoint general na wide ang influence or ang power as a general, so the president should appoint him so that they will control such society, and the president have direct access to that general in order to easy in controlling some aspect in our society and protect their interests also. So number three is repression of working class. Laws are designed and applied in a way that disproportionately affects the working class, punishing behaviors that challenges capitalist systems while overlooking committed by the wealthy. So natay ginaingon nga naay mga policy makers or lawmakers which ilara pong ilara pong wala pud nila giguba ra pud nila ang law or ilang gi-manipulate ang law nga ga-protect daw sa mga civilian or mga less privileged people, but in reality makaingon jud ta nga ang laws jud diri sa atoa is most generally and obviously applicable jud kay siya sa mga kanla or pabor lang gid siya, in favor lang gid siya sa mga dato or mga ruling class, which is very unfair for us as for me as less privileged nga ang justice system diri sa atoa sa Philippines is mabayran ra, and for that matter is mo gini siya ginaingon nga repression of working class. So ang most of the time ang mga panisan ra or namanggaling mga citizens ato nga maka-violate sa law o katong pobrera, dali ra gid sila mapreso or mapanisan, while ang mga dato is ma-overlook la or kung dili mabaliwala lang nila ang sala kay na may kwarta or mabayaran na ang justice system. So let's move on to number 4. Ideological function. While primarily focusing on repression, the legal system also plays an ideological role in creating by full sense of fairness and justice, masking the underlying inequalities capitalist system. So kaingon jud ta. So kuan siya sa number 3 nga ang ideological function primarily kuan jud siya focusing on repression lang siya, but ang the legal system also plays role in creating a full sense of fairness and justice. So kaingon jud ta nga kani gahimo sila legal system nga kuan lagi equal or maka-access sa tanan or fair nga ma-access nato nga dili siya favorable lang sa mga dato or something in ana, but lagi in reality ang fairness sa legal system is in favor lang yun siya sa mga ruling class or mga dato, which is very unfair jud sa ato as a less privileged or working class nga kayon sila nga ang justice daw sa ato is nga nang pabor jud sa kuan kay ang justice system sa Tagalog pa ang hustisya ay para lang sa mayaman. So makaingon jud nga ang justice system there is atwa is not fair. So therefore we conclude that dili gid siya mo ni siya ginaingon nga ang conflict theory is views that legal system and law is used by the ruling class or the capitalist class to control the least privileged people or the working class. So here are the examples of instrumental Marxism in real world inspired siya. So number one is the laws against protest and dissent. So law that restrict protest, demonstration, or other forms of dissent are seen as mechanism to suppress opposition to the capitalist system and maintain the status quo. These include laws against public assembly or the use of excessive force by the law enforcement against protesters. So, ang ruling class is ilang i-restrict ang protest so that wala mo criticize sa ila ang gipanguhat and to maintain the status quo or unsa ang current situation right now diri, or for example diri sa Pilipinas nga ang government or ang ruling class or the president is daghan kaayo nag-criticize sa iya about sa iya ang pagdala sa Pilipinas in implementing mga projects nga maka-benefit ang least privileged class, especially ang giingon niya nga mahimong 20 ang pesos per kilo sa bugas, whereas wala siya nagtabo. So mo na siya ginakuan nga naiuban nga magkuan sila og assembly so that they can express their opposition to the government or to the ruling class para matama. Pero ang ruling class ilang restrict ang protest so that they can suppress the dissent. So number 2, we have strict enforcement of drug laws. So diri sa Pilipinas, although nagkuan sila strict implementation of enforcement or nagkuan sila law enforcement regarding with the drug use diri sa tuwa or mga kuan nga butang pero sa drugs, ilang nag-enforce sila laws nga ma-arrest or mas less ang paggamit sa droga o pagpabaligya. Nagkuhan sila, enforce sila law wherein ang ma-arrest lang jud is ang mga pobre. Dayon ang mga ruling class is ilang gi-manipulate ang law nga kana lagi ang law enforcement is in strict compliance or ilang gisunod ang kuan sa drug wherein the ruling class is uban madakpan man gani pero mabayaran naman gyapon ang justice system. So di gid siya kuan applicable ang mga inana laws kay ang makabenepisyo ra is ang mga upper class lang or ang mga ruling class. So that is why the instrumental Marxism conflict gid siya in the upper class and lower class, wherein the capitalist class or the ruling class use legal system and law to protect their interests by manipulating the law that they are created. So that is all. Thank you.
We're reporting about the structural theory. Structural theories of crime and criminology suggest that crime is caused by social factors such as poverty, lack of education, and economic struggles. These theories aim to identify social structures that contribute to crime and develop intervention strategies to address the underlying causes. So, structural theories, it is not about the individuals but also about the problem of the society. So, ang tao is nakakommit sa crime because na-influence sila sa tungkol sa ilang situation sa ilang community. Like, for example, poverty. Like, kadang sa ilang kapobrihon. Agi silang kapobrihon, the person committed crime because kadang wala na sila ipatupad sa ilang pamilya. And then, the communication, kanang wala sila kanang experience wala sila experience sa eskwela, and then some of those person nga wala naka-eskwela is maglisod yun na sila o magpangitag karong kwan kanang trabaho. So ang ilang makakuha na lang sila, makomment na lang sila o crime kay wala silang trabaho. So pwede na lang na magawa sila mangawat para provide nila ang kailangan ay needs sa ilang pamilya. And then here are some structural theories of crime. So first, the social disorganization theory. This theory suggests that people who live in areas with broken social control are more likely to break the law. So ang example ani is kanang ang isa ka community or komunidad is kuan siya kanang known siya as kanang pobre bitaw or ang halos nga napuyo dito is pobre. So maglisod jud sila o maglisod sila o kuan kanang sunod sa law or i-break nila ang law because wala sila laing choice, and then wala sila opportunity nga makapagitag trabaho nga sakto, like so pwede na makakommit sila crime, like makakuan sila, makapangawat na lang jud sila, mapugo sila kay para lang ma-provide nila ang needs sa ilang pamilya. So strength theories, this theory suggests that crime is a result of eager over the inability to achieve social and economic success. So the strength theories explain that ang tao is makakommit siya crime because of the eager, like for example ang isa ka tao is gusto siya makasunod sa trabaho but dili siya makasunod ana, so maka-feel siya og kabigo or makabigo, so kay gusto kay niya makakuan jud makakabot siya og success, so magkuan na lang siya, mag-commit na lang siya crime, like for example pwede siya mangawat and then or namaligya na lang siya og drugs para lang matuman niya kung isa yung gusto nga maabot. And then next, the structural criminology. This sociological approach considers the relationship between classes, gender, and race to understand crime. It suggests that class position influence involvement in crime, and that the power relation of the home reflects those of society. So we have the example of the structural criminology, like nagikan sila sa kapobrehon, so nagikan sila sa kapobrehon, and then ma-influensya sila kay agi sa ilang kakulangan, so mo-commit sila crime, like mukuyog sila ng mga kawatan or mo-commit sila o kanang crime nga magiguban sila kanang mamaligya na lang sila og shabu or drugs. So muna na din. So we have some strategies to reduce crime and socially disorganized areas include. So we have the static community ban. So ang isa ka community or government is mag-provide sila og program para ma-address ang crime nga nahitabo sa ilahang sa community. Like for example, kanang maghatag sila og activity nga kanang tree planting or para lang ma-decrease ang high rate sa ilahang crime. And then number 2, the promoting economic development and implementing community-based and crime prevention. So pwede po ang government is mag-provide sila og activity or program para tudluan ang mga tao kung unsay dili ang ay buhaton o unsay ang ay buhaton para ma-decrease ang rate sa crime sa community or ma-reduce na siya. And then so the main goal of the structural theory is to know kung unsa kayo ang rason kung anong ang isa ka tawo or ang isa ka community is nakakuan sila og crime or naka-commit og crime. So and lastly, pwede ay naghatag po siya og nag-determine po siya kung unsaon pag-address ang crime rate crime rate sa ilang community or unsaon pag-decrease sa ilahang crime rate sa community. And that's all. Thank you.
Good morning everyone, my name is Mylene Abel Nuak. So my topic is about left realism theory. Left realism theory is a criminological approach emphasizing social and economic structures as cause of crime. Key principles. Number 1, crime is a real problem. Number 2, social and economic context shapes crime. Number 3, relative deprivation drives crime. Number 4, state and institutional failure exaggeration crime. number 5, community-based solutions are essential. So number 1, muna siya is a genuine issue for our society today, causing harm to individuals in our communities and economics. So number 2, muna siya factors for example, poverty, discrimination, or lack of education, makakan contribute to crime. Then especially kanang sa areas nga with a high poverty rates can often experience higher crime rates. So number 3, for example na ko ni kay poverty gapon, feeling of deprivation and equality motivate individuals to commit a crime. Then number 4, so for example, ang government na failure of the government and institutional kung dili ka sila makaprovide og basic services like security, justice, o social welfare, makakontribute po na siya og kanang crimes. So naiposible nga ang individuals mo commit siya og crime or criminal activities para makuha niya ang yang needs o ma-express po niya ang yang kuan. Number 5, community-based solution. So which involve empowering local residents, organization. So to address this crime prevention, so this also can create a sense of ownership over community safety. So conclusion, Life Realism offers a critical perspective on crime, emphasizing social and economic roles. Community-based solution and addressing inequalities are crucial for reducing crime. So overall niya kay ang left realism theory, nag-focus siya on the causes of crime and deviance and how to reduce it. That's all. Thank you.
Critical theory upholds the belief that a small few, the elite of the society, decide law and the definition of crime. Those who commit crimes disagree with laws that were created to keep control of them. Critical theory is a social theory oriented toward critiquing and changing society as a whole, in contrast to traditional theory oriented only to understanding or explaining it. Horkheimer wanted to distinguish critical theory as a radical, emancipatory form of Marxian theory, critiquing both the model of science put forward by logical positivism and what he and his colleagues saw as the covert positivism and authoritarianisms of orthodox Marxism and communism. He described a theory as a critical, insofar as it seeks to liberate human beings from circumstances that enslave them. Critical theory involves a normative dimension, either through criticizing society from some general theory of values, norms, or oaths, or through criticizing it in terms of its own espoused values.
So this is the feminist theory. Feminist theory is a broad framework for understanding the ways in which gender, power, and inequality interest in society. So kaning sa feminist theory kay diri pud ga understand ang unsaon nimo pag understand sa imong mga ka-gender, then dara ang inequality sa imong interest for society. It seeks to challenge and address systemic oppression and discrimination rooted in patriarchy and other intersecting systems such as racism, capitalism, and heteronormativity. So feminist theory encompasses diverse perspective and methodologies involving over time to reflect different historical, cultural, and political context. So kining sa feminist theory is gabis po ni siya sa kanang sa capitalism sa atong nasod or kanang mga anak nga activity dayon na involve po ng mga historical, cultural, and political context. So the core principle of feminist theory is critique of patriarchy. So kaning sa critique of patriarchy kay dire ang a system of social structures and practice that privilege men and perpetuate male dominance. So kining sa dire ga system ni siya sa kanang bitong structure sa atong society. Then ang sunod kay intersectionality. Ano sa internationality kay coined by Kimber Crenshaw. This concept emphasizes how different aspects of identity, gender, race, class, sexuality. So kaning sa ikaduha sa core principle kay kuan po na siya sa mga gender, dayon sexuality sa human, dayon kaning sa ikatulo kay empowerment and agency. So napodari ka ng mga kung unsa ka kusog bitaw inyong agency sa inyong negosyo kanang mga ingana ba. Dayon focus on experience. So dapat napuga mga experience nga makapokus sa mga kaugalingon. So dire pud sa major strands of feminist theory. So ang number 1 kay liberal feminism. So kaning sa liberal feminism focusing on achieving equality through legal and political reforms within existing system. So kaning sa liberal feminism say kanang mura bitaw kagabis nga mura bitaw kagabis sa imong kuan sa imong political career inana. Then number 2 ka radical feminism seeks to challenge and dismantle patriarchy and its root, addressing issues like gender-based violence. So dari pud sa radical feminism nang magsub ka sa mga address nga mga sexual violence nga dapat dili na makuan utrog balik mga ingana. Then sa Marxist and socialist feminism, so dari po ning sa links gender oppression to class oppression and critiques capitalism. So dara ng mga mag-socialize ka sa gender sa mga tao. Then kaning sa number 4 kay intersectional feminism. Kung kaning sa intersectional feminism kay gakuan ni siya connections between the exploitation of women and nature, advocating environment and gender justice. Then ang number 5 kay postmodern and post-structural feminism. So sa kuan po ni siya ga-emphasize sa value of women's experience and contribution to society. So kaning sa number 5 ang maka-appreciate sa mga matabang sa mga babae sa atong society. That's all. Thank you.
So good day sir, I am Anchor BB Campomanes and I am going to discuss about power control theory. So power control theory is a criminological theory that explains gender differences in crime rates by examining how family power dynamics impact on child's behavior. Power control theory argues that patriarchal attitudes affect delinquent behavior via the differential controls placed upon children by family members. In particular, the theory argues that girls are subject to greater control than boys in patriarchal household. The theory posits that the level of social and parental control a child experiences in influenced by the family's class, gender, and structure. This control sets an accepted norm for the child, which is in turn controls level theory of delinquency. So when we say power control theory, it talks about kuan man ganing delinquency, which is kanang kuan bitaw mga deviant behavior nga committed by mga minors. So according ani nga theory daw, in this society patriarchal. So when we say patriarchal gani sa una sa Pilipinas ang magtrabaho kay ato man yung mga atong amahan dayon ang papa pod siya ang magdisiplina sa balay. So di ba siya ang masunod. So dayon di ba conservative kayo ang Pilipinas sa una, like wherein ang mga babae yo dili basta palaagon, unlike karon nga medyo sa ato ang kuan karon panahon is deliberated na kayo. Dayon liberated na siya. So according sa power control theory, bantog daw ang mga babae gamay ra talagsa ra makakamit sa crime kumpara sa ato mga lalaki, kay mas dako og freedom ang mga lalaki kontra sa mga babae. So ang mga babae kay sa nara sa perminti sa balay, so unlike sa ato ang mga lalaki is makagawas na natay freedom, so makalubilo ta sa daghang tawo, so mas prone ta sa crime. So mas duol ta sa krimen kay ang mga babae nara man sa balay, then kita kanang natay freedom nga makagawas. That's all, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, classmate. I am Barry Bibalasi, and this is my report. I am group 5. Developmental perspective. The developmental perspective in criminology offer a dynamic and lucid understanding of criminal behavior, viewing it as a process that evolves over an individual lifespan. This perspective emphasizes the interplay between individual characteristic, social experience, and environmental factors that contribute to the onset, persistence, and persistence of criminal behavior. So, developmental perspective, it's all about your behavior that develop in a person that is changed over time. Your social behavior by influenced by person or environment by watching them. Key concept and theories. Life course theories. Life course theories suggest that criminal behavior is a dynamic process influenced by individual characteristics as well as social experience, and that the factor that cause antisocial behavior change dramatically over a person span. So, muna ang mga kuan sa life course theory. Maladaptive personality. Muna siya mga anger, kasuko, self-harm, substance use, mga gamit na bawal. Education failure, mga yung bad grades. Family relations. So, number 2, age-graded theory of social control. A criminological theory that argues that criminal behavior throughout a person's life is significantly influenced by major life event or turning point which can strengthen or weaken social bonds at different stage of life, impacting their likelihood to commit crime. So muna ang muna social control, muna ang mga rules sa atong batas or rules sa mga eskwelahan, sa family, para maka-less ang mga crime. Latent threat theory. Latent threat theory, it is a theory characterized by its emphasis on unchanging hidden personality threats that make a person more likely to commit crime when given the opportunity. When we say about Latin, is an adjective that describes something that is hidden or has not yet manifest itself. So mga pangtago nga behavior. 4. Self-control theory. Self-control theory, lack of self-control, is the main factor behind criminal behavior, focuses on the inhibitions of strong impulses. Muna yung mga less na self-control. Implications for crime prevention and intervention. Early intervention. By identifying and addressing risk factor early in life such as poor parenting, school failure, and dealing with peer association, it is possible to reduce the likelihood of future criminal behavior. That's all my report.
Good day, sir. So, as the continuation of the Group 5 report, my topic is all about latent traits theories. So, from the word latent means hidden. So, latent traits theory seeks to explain why people commit crimes. So, in this theory, sometimes people tend to be good. People we used to know was good, is really doing well, but sometimes they have their hidden personality traits that sometimes will only reveal when a certain circumstances arise. So in this theories, latent traits will reveal themselves only when the opportunity for crime arises, as I said earlier. So people always have their hidden personality. They will only reveal themselves when needed, and yeah, we cannot really say that people is who they are until they reveal who they are. So that is latent traits theories.
next is the life course theories. So in these theories, this is the study on how can a person build this character. How did a person how can the environment influence the character of such a person. So it states that an individual's life is shaped by their family, friends, schoolwork, and other social institutions. Like the character of the individual sometimes influenced by the individual's life. So for example, having a celebrity idol, sometimes they tend to be like that person. And next, influenced by their family, of course. Number one influence that the building character building of such individual is the family. What their family are, usually, let's say for 100%, 90%, their character was built and influenced by their family. Next, friends, at school also. And what we learn from school, what we get from the teachers, we also learn from them, and we can apply the learnings into day-to-day life. So it emphasizes on the importance of an individual's life history and social environment in shaping their health and well-being. So in this life course theories, the study is all about the influence of the environment, the influence of the social groups in building a character of such individuals. So these two topics, in summary, latent traits theories explain why people commit crimes. No, sometimes makapangutana manguta nga nganong nabuhat man to niya nga buutan man kayto siya nga pagkatao, nganong kahang nabuhat man to niya nga maayuhon man kayto siya nga tao, no? But di ay ang usa ka tawo na siya hidden personality. So when certain circumstances nga maabot, for example nagkalisod siya, for example nagkagutom na siya, diha mo gawas ang iyang personality nga wala na to nahibalaan. So kini nga theory mo ay nag-explain na. And next is ang life course theories, ga-explain kung paunsa na build ang usa ka tawo. For example, ako paunsa ko na build nga pag-abot ako karon ingunani akong characteristics. So sometimes my family, my environment, sa ako ang eskwelahan, sa church, no, mo na siya naka-influence sa ako ang character building. So I guess that's all, sir. That's all. Thank you.